we go any further, I have to say, again, I am proud of everything that you're doing.
Thank you.
I am absolutely proud of everything that you're doing. You have grown as a media guy, and to be just a regular dude sitting here with a celebrity of Jersey. Dude, I'm really happy to be here with you.
Thank you.
Really am. So,
So Isaiah.
yes, sir.
Where are we?
We are in the classiest of boroughs. We are in the county of Kings. We are in Brooklyn, New York. We are here at Bedford-Stuyvesant, one of the best neighborhoods. This is Biggie's neighborhood. Mm-hmm. Rest in peace to Christopher Wallace. We are at Choice Market, and this place actually has a lot of significance for me. I moved up here in 2015, and this was one of the first places that I frequented. Took good care of me in the early days of living here, and still, in my opinion, they've got one of the best burgers in New York City. I'm talking about all 5 boroughs. They're amazing here, and I've really enjoyed this place over the years. And
saying something like that brings a challenge to to other restaurants.
Oh, what? Hey, man! Listen. I didn't get this big off of just pure air. Okay, nah, stop it. No. I know what I'm talking about. I've had plenty of burgers and other food here. The other thing that's pretty good, and it's on the market side of it. They have this pulled pork hash that you can get. I don't know if you can get it on this side, because they just recently opened this end of it about, I want to say, like 3-4 months ago. I could be wrong about that, but this one, but I know that both each side has like different menus and stuff. So
okay, so what are they doing breakfast now? Because I know it's a little bit.
Yeah,
early.
man. Yeah, man.
Okay. I obviously about my sort of diet going on, so I'm trying to think what's the most effective. Oh, omelet. I'll go with the omelet.
I was gonna say, dude, how are you not gonna? Like, come on.
I'm going to eat, but you're just looking for the best option.
Oh my god. I mean, what is today a cheat day for you?
No, not necessarily a cheat day. So, because I'm doing the alternate day fasting, today is one of those days where I'm not fasting.
Ah,
but
okay.
Even when you're not fasting, you're still, eating healthy.
Yeah, of course.
So that, now I'm mindful of
I gotcha.
of what I'm taking in. But I think the omelet's going to be perfect.
I think I'm gonna have my favorite, which is the choice burger. I think I've got a. Although this one looks slightly different.
Oh wait, they got lunch too?
Yeah, they do.
I thought, what it is? I saw breakfast, and I thought this was like just the top part, and it was just breakfast. I didn't realize they were doing. Let's see.
You really are used to are you used to the QR code? like how fucking impersonal have restaurants become with that shit? Like, oh, here's a QR code. We're gonna stick it right in the middle of the table and be like, oh, well, that's the menu. I'm like, what the fuck you? Give me one of these. Give me a menu that opens up, that I can read, that I can feel and actually like see and touch. And that, it actually makes it feel more like a restaurant. I don't want to, you come to restaurants to unplug from this stuff. You know what I mean? So it's like, you don't want to keep, we can take a break from the phones. It's okay.
That was the one thing about the pandemic was like, it was a surreal experience as far as going inside restaurants, because it was almost like you're presumed to be hazardous, because they would have the mask or the shield or the mask, and they come over like, I'm not going to give you a menu, just go in there and shout what you want.
The hypochondria and antisocial behaviors that were promoted by the pandemic truly upset me. Mm-hmm. I remember I remember 3 years ago. I was taking pictures at Times Square, and my ex had gone to Los Angeles to be with her family, and she was there for like 3 months. Right, she left in March, came back in June of 2020, and so I caught the Alpha variant by myself. Right, like a week after she left is when I caught it. And after I got better, it was right after everything had initially gotten shut down. And I took pictures of Times Square empty, like absolutely empty. I had never seen Times Square that, like just dead, like total deadlands.
Yeah.
You know. And it's jarring, because it was jarring for me, because one of the things about New York City that drew me up here, because this is my second time living up here. I lived up here in from 2008 to 2010, and the thing that always drew me about New York City was the vibe, the energy, the life energy, right? Like, people are here, they're doing stuff, they're active. We're seeing Times Square, there's hundreds of thousands of people walking through there like every minute.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, gone, just like that. Nothing open, nothing going on. It's just like what are you going, like, it's empty. And yeah, I remember crying. To see, because to see all of it just drained, it really did a number on me. And and now, 3 years later, you know, the crowds are back, and but now there's crime happening in Times Square. It's like this reverse transitional period where, right, before it was, you know, when Disney bought up everything, it was like, oh well, this is now the playground. Like this is they
went from hookers and peep shows to the Disney playground.
Right, and now it's going back to the hookers and the violence and people getting robbed and stuff like that. And it's like, it's just one more example of how equity equalizes downward, right? All of these equitable policies, these anti-law and order policies that are in place these days, where the best place to commit crime right now, to kind of go unrelated, is Manhattan. Alvin Bragg don't want to prosecute shit. Like, if and other big cities have done this, if you steal under a certain amount, they won't prosecute you. Like, I think in Manhattan it's like less than $600 or $700. It's like, we won't prosecute you.
Yeah.
You can steal as much as you want. This is like the message that they're sending to criminals. You can steal up to this amount, and we won't prosecute you.
Right.
What do you think that says to law-abiding citizens?
Well, that basically crime doesn't matter as long as it's particular types of crime.
Well, it tells you that crime pays.
Oh, that crime pays, yeah.
It tells you that, you know, that was the thing that we used to hear, you know, growing up, was that crime doesn't pay. Well, if you steal $400 worth of shit in a jurisdiction that's only going to prosecute you if you steal over 700, guess what, asshole? You just scored $400 you just scored $400 of stuff.
You know what's interesting? I noticed with San Francisco, when they started doing something like that, then all of a sudden people started noticing, hey, there's like a line of, like a market on the street of all these products that would be in stores. Get out of here. No way. Oh, we're ready to order.
We actually are.
No, it's okay.
Oh, no, it's all right. It's all right.
I thought you guys were just using it as a venue.
No.
No, it's okay.
all good.
Well, what can I get for you today?
After you, brother.
After me?
Yeah, after you.
I forgot what I wanted. You go first. You've been here before.
So I am going to do the choice burger.
Okay.
Medium well, Instead of cheddar, I think you have mozzarella cheese or provolone or something like that, right?
Mozzarella.
I'll do mozzarella, and can I add sautéed onions as well and bacon?
It comes with pancetta, which is like.
Oh, the pancetta. Right. Okay.
Did you want fries or side salad?
Fries, please. Yes.
Regular, garlic, or sweet potato fries?
We'll do garlic fries.
Right, fries?
Yes. And because I don't want to, I can't just do a burger and call it a night, and call it a day. Actually, I think I can. Yeah, that'll be all for me for now.
Did you want a drink?
Yes. I'll do a coffee.
Coffee, hot or iced?
Hot, please. Hot,
Do you
please.
milk or sugar?
Both, please. Yes. Raw sugar at that.
Got it.
I will do the turkey club
And fries or side salad?
side salad.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. Would you like a drink?
I'll just more water.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll be back with some more water in the coffee.
Okay.
Thank you, dear.
And
I appreciate it.
Don't hesitate to come over. I know the
Okay.
cameras.
I really didn't realize you guys were I'm so sorry.
It's
I'll
all
okay.
good.
I'll explain this situation,
It's all good.
but glad to get you some food.
Thank you.
Thank you, dear. Appreciate it.
No, I just thought that
We'll
was.
edit it out in post.
Yeah, we'll edit it out. Or we'll leave it in.
We'll do it live. Fuck
Yeah,
it.
I was about to say that. No, what I was going to say is I noticed that in San Francisco they started having these markets that just came about all of a sudden after you started lowering the dollar amount before they started prosecuting. And then it was just like everybody was hands off. And I was wondering what's the actual incentive? Like
Did you go out to San Francisco and see this? Like firsthand or?
no, not firsthand, but what I'll tell you is was a YouTube algorithm. Once you start looking at something, it just pumps it to you. So I started watching like San Francisco news, and just like, which is actually pretty good because they would go out and talk to like business owners, and they would tell you like some wild stuff that's going, like it's the Wild West. They're like, hey, by the way, if you're coming from the airport, people are following you to break into your car once you park. And I'm like, where's the sting operation? Why is this happening all of a sudden? Fencing operations that are happening in public. And I'm like, why is no one doing anything about it? And it just seems like a systemic failure that's happening with San Francisco.
Well,
Yeah.
it's a very systemic failure. I mean, they got rid of. So I remember like when they got rid of Chesa Boudin,
Yeah.
and that guy was just a flat out fucking communist.
Yeah.
Like fully well known, one of many DAs that George Soros like personally fucking bought and paid for.
Mm-hmm.
And he was one of those ones that was like, we're gonna do this equitably. We're bringing an holistic approach to fighting crime, and it was a disaster. Enablement of drug addiction and all of the things that the hard stuff of what it takes to actually protect us, like protect the society.
Right.
It's like he didn't want to do that. And that's why you have hundreds, if not thousands, of homeless people and drug addicts. Like it looks like Resident Evil
Yeah.
out there. And it's sad to me because San Francisco is like geographically speaking, it's one of the most beautiful places in the country. I mean, where it's located, the natural the natural topography and everything, it's a beautiful place. And to see it just hollowed out that way, and it's still expensive as shit to live out there. All of what's going on out there right now would have driven down property values overnight. But because that's where all the that's where the tech sector is in the country. You've got all these hello back. All
Thank
right. Thank you, my dear. You've got, I mean, San Francisco is where like the whole entire tech sector is, right? And so it's like they thought they had this utopia, this neoliberal utopia, and like they figure, well, now that we have it, we just don't want to do anything with it, and that's how you have all of this decay out there. It's sad because they actually wanted to visit like San Francisco, and really, San Francisco isn't the only problem, and isn't the only city with those problems.
Right.
They're just the worst at hiding it.
Yeah, that's true.
Because understand, Los Angeles, just as bad. Los Angeles is just as bad, if not worse, because Los Angeles is bigger.
You know what's interesting? Like, I heard somebody say, I wish they would stop calling it a homeless issue, because it's not a homeless issue. It's a drug addiction issue.
It is. It's both.
But it's both. Yeah. So that's where I'm like, I get what they're saying. Although I will say, one of the most annoying things, as someone who's been homeless,
I've been homeless too.
When they call it the unhoused, I'm like, the last thing.
Doesn't that make you just want to take a bat to one of these people? Like seriously,
well,
the unhoused.
Well, my
That's
point
a bastardization of what? No, seriously, that's a bastardization of what George Carlin of a George Carlin bit. I feel like Carlin would have absolutely loved this, time period that we're living in. The man was a prophet, and it's so crazy because he was like he even talked about how the jargon, useless language, soft language.
Yeah, I remember him talking about that.
Soft language. This is like we're living in that skit right now, of soft language. How we're more concerned now as a society. The leaders in our society are more concerned with words, with what you call a thing, what you call an issue, rather than actually, fixing the issue.
Right.
Because if you fix the issue, they're afraid that that's going to reduce their usefulness to the public. They can't control people the way that they want to. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting.
Well,
and I see it for what it is.
Yeah, I mean, even on top of that, and like you said, you've been homeless as well. The last thing you cared about while you were homeless is what they called you. Like the terminology that was used. Excuse me, I don't know where I'm putting my head tonight, but make sure you call me the appropriate word.
Exactly. Exactly.
Like they're...
No, sir, I'm not homeless. Do you understand? I am unhoused. What part of that do you not understand? Sorry.
Although you're yelling it, so people might actually think, oh, these are some homeless guys with some cameras.
Yeah. You spare some change, please? Gotta pay for this food somehow. Oh, sorry.
So actually, I did have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
One of the things that, when we first started having dialogue on Twitter, one of the things when I started following you and started noticing your dialogue, was that you're very much so similar to me. Although I would say when I first noticed you, you were at a different stage. This is just my opinion. You might disagree, but I felt like when I first started having dialogue with you, which is right around when I first noticed like who you were at the aha moment. You were like at the very beginning of the aha moment.
Yeah.
And for me, I had that aha moment like a couple years before, I want to say. Although, I should say aha moments. And what was fascinating was like the stark difference of you being someone who was in a political ad, for the president.
Yeah.
And, and for you to, be open and willing to say, you know what, I'm not liking what's happening here. I supported him, but I'm not liking what Biden's doing. And for you to publicly say that, and then on top of that, do the interview with Fox News to voice your opinion, to have yourself heard, and get backlash, of course, from people that you knew for years prior, all of a sudden see you as some sort of traitor or turncoat, and deal with that. The only difference I would say between me and you in that situation was that I was in public. My aha moments were private. I was figuring things out, and it wasn't until I passed that. So when I emerged publicly, it was just what it was. But you had to deal with the circumstances of, having people who don't know you reject you, people who do know you reject you, and then trying to decipher if this no longer exists, what does this have to offer? And trying to figure out, are both sides just full of shit? Or is it just, so what I basically saw was like a progression in a relatively short period of time, short period of time in your life. But I saw a progression of you trying to figure out, where do you belong? And I think for me and you can correct me, but for me and you felt like the party that you knew is no longer the party that you know. Like it just started adapting to these things that make no sense.
Yeah.
And for me, it's interesting because I don't think people know where to put me sometimes, because some of the things I'm not bullish on the right, because I'm pretty liberal on. It's the same attitude that I've always had when I was a liberal. So I've always been free speech. I've always been live and let live. As long as you're not hurting anybody, you live the way you want. I don't have to agree with everything that you do, but if you're doing it in the privacy of your home, so be it. And I'm not bullish on everything on the right, and I talk about it, but I think there's so much labeling that happens, and then it doesn't allow for the nuance. It doesn't allow for you to sit on the fence, So I don't know. Do you agree with what I'm saying, or is that an appropriate assessment?
It is appropriate. It's been a hard process.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie to you. I remember when I had my first transitional period, right? My first realignment, we'll say, political realignment.
Yeah, because transition might be a weird word these days.
Yeah. Especially in this neighborhood. Anyways. So I was raised conservative, right? I was raised, my parents are, Kevin and Robin they've been Republicans for years, okay? My very first vote was in 2000, 41 years old, and I voted for George W. Bush. I voted for him in 2000 when I was 18, and then voted for him again in 2004. And then my first political realignment came in 2008, where we had Barack Obama and John McCain. I was actually preparing to vote for John McCain, and a lot of people don't know that. But I was starting to see things like a lot of the dystopian rhetoric that the right was using. That they were very nervous about a guy about Barack Obama, becoming possibly president. And then of course with the whole birth certificate thing, that put a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah.
And then of course when McCain picked Sarah Palin as his running mate, that was kind of the end of it for me. And I made my first crossed party lines for the first time in 2008 and voted for Barack Obama. I admired Barack. I don't as much as I used to, because I'm noticing a lot more after 2020. But my aha moment, I think my aha moment really started once I peaked with the whole gender cult. And I started to, when I started to see, because I've always been consistent I've been black all my life. All right.
I assume
And
so.
I mean, yeah, this ain't chocolate pudding. But I've been black all my life, and of course, as a black man, we have, like, we're aware of racism. There are things. I mean, racism does exist. White supremacy does exist, right? Like, I'm like, but what happens, at least for me, is, in order to be fair, I see it on both sides. I see the left. I see bigotry from the left, and I see and the bigotry from the right. Mm-hmm. And there was, like, I've always been anti-woke. I saw these people for who they were in 2012 and 2013.
Same.
Right? Like, I was seeing this movement build, but they were growing in power. Mm-hmm. And I know I'm probably going all over the place, but then in 2020, because I didn't vote for Trump. I was the only member of my family who didn't, and I had a complex about that. And I read, like, I was reading through, like, a lot of Facebook posts. I hated Trump. I still do. I hate that Trump is that boorish, he's boorish. He lied a lot. Like, he was the antithesis of what I wanted, what I thought a president of the United States should be, right? Inexperienced. But then I look at the right, and then I look at the left, excuse me, and I see a completely dysregulated, angry, almost feral in their in how they comport themselves when it comes to everything, and, like, especially when it comes to the matter when it comes to gender, the war in Ukraine. Mm-hmm. It's like they spare no expense. They really would rather spend hundreds of billions of dollars of taxpayer money over there in Ukraine than actually fix things, than fix our own country. It's like, what do you feel like everything's been fixed? Do you feel like there's nothing else to be done? Like we're already living in this utopia that you wanted to build? Like, I hate to say it, and then when it comes to the whole COVID stuff,
yeah,
Trump lied a lot about COVID, and and I will not forget the fact that the lockdowns did start under him. And I'm kind of switching gears, but the fact is, no matter how much Trump lied, the left still made a truth teller out of him on many, many things. And I'm like, if you are leading a political movement, don't make a truth teller out of your great Satan. Don't do that. Like, be consistent. And the left has not been consistent. The left has been, it's like, James Lindsay talks about, like, the iron law of woke projection, how it never misses, right? And it's like Democrats got the Republican out of the way that they hated so much for lying his ass off and doing just the most, just to be the liar, to be the big liar, to just create reality however they see fit, like all the self-actualization and everything else. Like, it upsets me. And then we get to how I just felt like, I remember writing a long time ago, I wrote this piece called Born of the Right and Glad I Left, right? And I was like, yes, I'm a liberal now, and I'm like the right lied to me about everything. And that was like back in like 2013. Here I am 10 years later, saying some of the same things, but in reverse. Biden, like, I remember when the thing was like Bernie Sanders was the socialist, right? Like he was the one, like the big bad far leftist that everybody was trying to navigate away from, right? He was the one who should be avoided. And then Biden beats the socialist and then he becomes the socialist. Like the obsession with censorship, the obsession with ending free speech or seriously curtailing it. As of this recording, I'm actually suspended. They put me in a 7-day Twitter jail for inciting violence, again, about an unrelated matter. And well, I didn't. It was one of these little weebs who get threatened at their own fucking shadow.
Right.
But anyways, getting back to my point. They want to curtail free speech. They want to limit what people can do. It's like it's like the Democratic Party just became this neurotic, scared of this neurotic, fearful entity that if we don't who just feel like if we don't take power over everything, if we don't control everything and keep Trump from running again, keep Trump from being president again, we can the Republicans are the greatest evil that this world has ever known, and if we don't stop them, if we don't control everything, it'll be World War II all over again. That's how these people think. Mm-hmm. You can when you read some of these people's tweets, it's almost like they're building a crescendo, like they're re-triggering themselves and working themselves into a lather. Like you notice like a lot of like the Democratic Party posted something about abortion rights. And it's just, what is it? It's just a wall of text. The image was a wall of text. It just repeats. It's like a mantra.
Yeah.
That's the weirdest shit I've ever seen from a political entity. And all of these leftist institutions, well, formerly liberal, but now they're just full-on leftist. All of these institutions are doing that. Why are you chanting? When did politics become such a religion that requires chanting on Twitter?
Yeah.
It's scary. And so, and yes, I do feel like the left left me. I do feel like the Democratic Party left me. It's not right.
Thank you.
Hello. All right. All right, let me put this over here.
I'm gonna steal the sugar away from you.
Yeah, that's fine.
And here's your burger.
Thank you. Ooh.
Yeah, I think you'll be good for the day.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. The left left me. Mm-hmm. The left left me. Like, I don't know how else to put it. This is not the entity that I voted for in 2020. They're just not. I don't know who the fuck these people are. I'm serious. I don't know who the fuck these people are. I don't know. Like the mayor of Baltimore. Mm-hmm. He's an acquaintance of mine, an old acquaintance of mine. All these people are adopting like these, like it's like they've all adopted this, these principles of equity. It's like, oh, equality's outdated. Mm-hmm. So now we're just going to do equity. We're going to engineer outcomes. We're going to equalize everything downward, and then we're going to engineer the outcomes we want. And why is that? Because I am convinced that all of this equity shit is to basically end the middle class. It's to end the middle class. It's like the middle class does not need, when you see the world through the lens of power and who has it, right? You're never ever you're only good. It's it's very concrete thinking. Mm-hmm. It's very black and white. There is no there's no nuance. And that's one of the reasons why, the left has become a cult. Because all nuance has been bled out of these people, all of it. You either believe exactly the way we do, or you're an evil fucking, MAGA, super mega ultra MAGA Republican, and you must be defeated in everything. You were going to take your job. We're going to steal. We're going to eliminate you from every possible dimension of society. We'll unperson you from social media. We'll take away your job. We'll make sure you never earn a dime anywhere. That's how these people operate. They are Maoists. They are communists. And the thing about communism is very much concrete thinking. They talk about concretizing. They talk about concretization all the time. Mm-hmm. And so now what you see is when you eliminate the middle class does not need. The middle class are the ones who need the government the least. Mm-hmm. If I'm doing good, if I'm making enough money to pay my rent or to own a home, right? If I'm to have a mortgage, if I'm doing what I need to do, and I'm happy, there's no need for me to believe in some warped sense of oppression. There's no need for me to feel like, because you don't feel it. You don't see it, you don't feel it. But when they impose things on society as a whole, mm-hmm. and then they tell you, you're oppressed, that's engineering an outcome, that's equity. And it's disturbing. I don't know who these fucking people are. I don't.
So. Sorry. No, it was fine.
We have fries.
Yes.
And you have a beautiful turkey. Well, now half of a beautiful turkey sandwich.
Whoa.
Dodging beetles, are you?
I don't even know what that is that's flying around.
It looked like a beetle.
I don't know. I just assume everything's a bee until proven otherwise.
Sound like my dad. Go ahead, dude. I'm listening.
No, enjoy your burger too. Mm. No, so the area where I would say, it's very interesting because like I said, everything kind of came in steps for me. Mm-hmm. And your arc as far as switching parties and things like that is very interesting because when I disavowed, so to speak.
But before you,
yeah,
I want to make one thing clear. I have not switched parties yet. I am still a registered Democrat.
Yeah, and
my parents actually. I had a conversation about this with my parents, and I told them flat out, I can't support any of the shit that these people do.
Yeah.
And then they were like, "No, stay in the party. Try be the voice of reason that they need." I'm like, I never expected them to say that. But go ahead, sorry.
No, that's very interesting that they did say that. No, I think the ultimate lesson that I learned was that there is no solution in either party. Mm-mm. There's no when a party represents millions upon millions of people, there's going to be different variants and versions of how people see things, and one crazy person says something, then that gets spread across everybody else, mm-hmm. and then so there is no perfection when it comes to party, and it's more for me. It's much of a general principle. What is the principle? What is the thing that they're advocating for on a principle level? And so what I see is that pushed me away from the Democrat Party as much as what you said. The stuff that we used to I remember watching the Rubin Report when I was in my transition, mm-hmm. getting away, and I was like, look at these crazy leftists in college, right? And there was nobody takes these people seriously. They'll get out here and they blah blah blah, and they'll forget all this stuff, and now they run stuff, and
they run everything.
They run everything, but on top of that, it's everybody pretends this was normal. It was like that everybody pretended that this was normal. I've told the story before. I have a friend of mine former friend, I should say, a former friend of mine, where we would talk about all types of stuff. We would talk about, she was white, we would talk about race, we would talk about all types of stuff, met her family. We were good friends. We've had conversations where she's crying. I was very much so an intimate friend relationship. We would go out, she's mm-hmm. met my friends, and just a good, cordial relationship. And I remember we're talking to her about, the woke, what we call them these days. But like, I remember talking to her about them, and then we would laugh. They're like, oh, these people are not serious. Like, oh, they're ridiculous. And then COVID came. And then I think it was COVID and then George Floyd, because I think it was after, especially. Mm-hmm. And then I talked to her, and it was a completely different person. Completely different person.
Surprising.
And I was like, what is going on? And so because one of the things that pissed her off was I asked, why 6 feet? Why do we have to stand 6 feet? Like, what is so magical about that number? Genuinely asking, because I have never heard that in my life. Like, that is some sort of length that you need to stand away from people. And so she got an attitude with me, and I said,
For even questioning.
yeah, for asking that question. And she said, when she said that, I was like, hold up, don't talk to me like that. Like, I just don't put up with that, because I wasn't rude. I was genuinely asking a question. Just like we always ask questions.
What did she like scream at you or something?
No, this is through this is through texting, but it was so much so that you can tell there was an attitude, because she would say, you sound real ignorant, like stuff like that. And I'm just like, hold on a second, like, where did all that come from? So, and I'll say one more thing. We had like this group that at the time I would go and say, like, it was a bit progressive, but we had this group that we get together, and they were generally okay. They were generally fine, and I got along with them. I can get along with just about anybody. Mm-hmm. I got along with them. But I remember one of the people, we used to meet up at his house, and one of the people went on Facebook one day, and I just happened to scroll through, and he said, Donald Trump told people to drink bleach. I was like, what? He said that? So then I'm like, that's very concerning if the President of the United States told people to drink bleach. So I went and watched the video, and of course, he did not say people need to drink bleach. So I went back and was like, hey, I watched the footage, and he didn't say that. Well, he should be better with his words or something like that. But I was like, but you lied. And then all of his lefty friends started coming after me. Now, mind you, I didn't really like Trump at the time. Like, so it wasn't me trying to defend. It was me saying that, but he didn't say that, right? Is someone either did say it or they didn't say that? And I think it was around that time where I didn't necessarily like him, but I was losing that. Trust me, I didn't have Trump's ranges, but I was losing that.
I did. Go ahead.
It's all good. But I was losing that edge where it's like, oh, he's just a flawed person, rather than he's like this embodiment of evil. And when I saw that, I thought that was very strange, because, like you said, you don't like, if he's so evil, you don't have to make stuff up. You just find the thing that he's
Exactly.
evil about.
Yeah.
But why would you lie about that? Why would you exaggerate that? Because that's clearly not what he said, and you know what he was implying by this action. So, but I veered off with that story a little bit. But the whole point came, we went months, I think it was like 6 months of not speaking. Because it sounded like she was dealing with some stuff, and I'm like, you come to me when you're ready to talk. So we finally had a phone call, and we're talking, and it starts off cordial, like, how have you been? We haven't talked in a while. And then it leads into a very weird space, like it was an elephant in the room. And we started talking about the stuff that led up to that. And I'm like, I was just asking a question. Like, it was, I wasn't even necessarily inserting an opinion. I was asking a question, and it felt like you were being disrespectful. And then we got into the topic of race, because George Floyd situation happened. And I remember her saying this. She said, well, listen, I just listened to what Black voices are saying. Something of that effect.
Holy shit.
And I said, you do realize I'm Black, right? So why is my opinion invalid all of a sudden? Now, mind you, this is someone, we've had conversations about race, and no problem. Someone I would say is a liberal. We could have questions, and we pretty much saw relatively eye to eye on the topic of race. And then it was all of a sudden it was like this odd shift. Now,
you weren't the right kind of Black. Go ahead.
Well, but the thing for me is, like, this wasn't some stranger. It was somebody that I knew. And the interesting part for me was that when I started becoming more public and talking to people and talking about these stories, it was like a line of people that I met were like, yes, this happened to me too. Someone who was a friend, who was
I've got
liberal.
multiple stories about this.
And it's so strange to me. Like, it's like a switch happened.
Where to begin? Oh God. So, Jesus Christ, I've had so many stories of this happen with different topics too. And a lot of them hurt. So you remember? I'll start with one that pops into the head. Remember the Makisha Bryant situation?
Refresh my memory.
Okay, so Makisha Bryant was I think she was like either 15 or 16, and
Is that the one with the knife?
yes,
I thought her name was something different. That's
yeah.
all.
So just for the viewers, Makisha Bryant, I think it was in Ohio, and
Yeah.
she was in a group home, and there was a big fight that broke out. Cops got called. Bryant had this girl in I remember it clearly. Pink sweatsuit, okay, and she had this girl pinned to the side of this silver car. Cop pulls up. That's the first thing he sees.
Right.
Because the guy who I guess this was one of the only adult males around in this situation. Mm-hmm. He throws her the knife, and she's got this blade drawn, she's ready to pin this chick in this pink sweatsuit. She's ready to pin her to the fucking car. Mm-hmm. Cops drop the knife, and pop, drops her. She dies. Guess who they wanted? They called it a case of police murder. I was like, not a chance. There was plenty of evidence that this girl had a knife. The girl in the pink sweatsuit, her life was saved by that cop. The cop's a fucking hero. Mm-hmm. And I remember being told by people on Twitter, guys who I've known on Twitter for years, we used to follow each other, talk shit about football and all that. This dude told me that I was anti-black. Now hold on a second. Makisha Bryant might have been black, yes, but so was the girl in the pink sweatsuit.
Right.
That she was about to fucking murder. The dude who handed Makisha Bryant the knife to pin that girl to that car was black. But because I'm not supporting the one who got killed by the white police officer with the badge, I'm anti-black. That enraged me to heights. That was when I knew. That was one of a few things, the few ways that I knew the left had just gone completely nuts. Mm. Another situation. And I talk about my ex a lot. We've discussed my ex-girlfriend. Worked in DEI. I don't know what's going on with her now. I hope she's okay. I mean, DEI is failing. It's dying. It's dying quickly. But I remember one of our very first dates was, and we've talked about this, one of our very first dates was to a drag show. Okay? We went and supported a friend of hers who was a drag performer, right? And I remember we went to the show. It was on the East Village. It was a lot of fun. There were no kids. I mean, you got to say that now, right? Like, you got to say that these days.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we went and we had a great time. Yeah, heterosexual black man. I had fun at a drag show. Go fuck yourself. But anyways, about a year later, because my ex and I met in 2018. About a year or so later, I asked about him. I'm like, hey, how's he doing? And like, yeah, he was a sweet guy. Like, I remember him being a real sweetheart. He was a really cool dude. So then my ex, she goes, oh, they're doing fine. I'm like, what? They? And I'm like, oh God, I know what this is. I know what this is. And I was like, I'm not playing this game. I was like, oh no, I'm not doing this. Because for me, the whole pronoun thing was ridiculous from like on its face. It's mimetic bullshit. I always thought it was. But the they, them thing always made me upset because it's like, you want me to use a plural pronoun for a singular being, right? Mm-hmm. So we're talking about like one person that you want me to use they, them for. And then the whole, like all of these pronouns that people are wearing on their badges, like little fucking children, right? They're like little kids. Like we're all in a meeting. And it's like, hello, my name is this, and my pronouns are this. It's ridiculous. It's literally, it's like everybody's in kindergarten, and you're wearing these little name tags so everybody can get to know each other, right? But what makes me so angry about it is that, again, like I'm draining this good guy of his individuality. And I'm using a plural. I'm using a plural, like a totally diluted language to describe a guy I actually really kind of liked. Right. I considered him a pretty decent human being.
Can I tell you a funny story? Since I've never talked about this publicly.
Well, hold on.
Oh yeah.
But my ex went nuts. Mm-hmm. My ex went absolutely nuts. She described my refusal to use the proper, Gnostic pronouns as hearing nails on a chalkboard. So I'm referring to your friend who not even a year ago, even you were calling him a him. But now all of a sudden, because it's politically correct, and we're all supposed to be of this critical consciousness, now I have to refer to this one man as two. Fuck off. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I second that motion.
It's the most enraging, and the thing about it is, we're talking about third party pronouns. You know that? We're talking about third party pronouns. Anybody who writes, right? Anybody with a good understanding of grammar knows that you're never going to talk. When you're directly interacting with somebody, you're never going to speak to them using she, her, they, them, whatever, right? Like, it's just basic language structure. It would never come up.
Right.
But what is that for? Those pronouns are to be used when you're not around, when they're not around, when you're at home referring to them. It's a mnemonic device meant to program how you talk about these people when they're not even in the same room or same space as you. It's the most narcissistic bullshit I've ever seen in my life. But nobody talks about that. Because it's hate speech, apparently, to discuss this, to even have conversations like this.
So, you were talking about going to a drag show. So I did something that
You performed?
no. You wouldn't want to see that. No, so I've done a bit of traveling. So
Have you?
yes,
And here I thought you just were just a hermit in the house.
I go some places. No, I was in.
I question your life choices when it comes to your Premier League teams, though.
How dare you? That's another story. Well, a different time. I went to Barcelona, and I was there for. I think we were there for 3 nights, but it was the last night. We had a flight like at 11 a.m. So just keep that in mind. We had a flight at 11 a.m. Went to Barcelona, and last night we were staying in a hostel, and there's a group of women that are there. Mm-hmm. And not to get too much into this, I was with a woman, platonic. Didn't go the best. That's a whole different story. But it was a platonic thing. So she was there with me. So we meet these people. And when I'm traveling abroad, like I'm trying to get to know people, I'm trying to meet people, I'm trying to talk to them. And it was a group of women, they were from Portugal, from Porto. And they were like, oh, it's her birthday. I was like, oh, that's great. You know, I was like, listen, why don't we go get some drinks? The only time I ever drink is when I'm on vacation. So I'm like, let's go get some drinks. There's a bar around the corner. I knew that because this was like my 3rd time staying there. Mm-hmm. And so go to the bar, and I took some pictures, and we started drinking some, liquor, and then we started taking shots. And then now I'm like,
Is this going to be a yada 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 situation?
No.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you all the details. So I'm properly drunk. On top of that, there's one of the Portuguese women was very attractive, and I was trying to talk to. So I'm just like, now like the walls are down, I'm just chilling, I'm trying to talk to them, and they're like, let's go somewhere and dance. I'm like, all right, whatever, let's go somewhere and dance. Mind you, it's like Tuesday. So they asked
So you literally did the club going up on a Tuesday thing?
I guess so, yeah.
Holy shit! All right.
So it's a Tuesday. So we asked the guy at the bar, and we were like, hey, where can we go to dance? And the guy was like, there's a club down that way. It's like 4 blocks down. Okay. So we all start walking. We're a little bit drunk, walking down the street. And we get to the club, and I look at it, and I see rainbow. And I was like, huh.
Uh-oh.
And then it says like something gay in Spanish. And I was like, is that a gay bar? And I said that to them. I was like, is this a gay club? And they're like, yeah, what about it? And I was like, fuck it.
Dude, I love this though. I mean, but there's nothing wrong with that, right? What you did, there's nothing wrong with that. Like I actually miss that. Where people where people of different backgrounds, different orientations can just party together, right?
Well,
I miss that.
yeah.
For me, I'll tell you, the great uniter for me was house music. House music is the great uniter. You go to Fort Greene or like one of these places where they're doing like a house, like a full-on house, like a house thing, like at a park or something. You see every fucking body, all races, all races, all sexes. Well, there's only 2. All identities, right? Nobody gives a fuck about any of that. They only care about the music and getting a groove on, right? And some might care about whatever drugs they might be doing on the side. Mm-hmm. But the fact of the matter is, you're there for something else other than political disputes,
right? Other
than whatever your politics are. Nobody's in there reading fucking Judith Butler. Nobody's in there, obsessing over, nobody was obsessing over pronouns. Nobody's obsessing over what words to say and, what socially awkward bullshit to do with somebody who only comes out maybe once a week. There was none of that. I miss that.
Well,
It's like everything, I'm being dead serious when I say this. We have been influenced by the most antisocial people who have ever lived. The most people, again, who only go out maybe once or twice a week. They don't have jobs. They live in their mom's basement. They do whatever. But the bottom line is these people are stuck in the house, on the phone, doing this, and we're being led by these people. Those are the ones in our government. Those are the ones in positions of power. Antisocial people who develop their sociology through Tumblr. That's who we've got. And it makes me angry because everything is just saturated. But these people, like you said earlier, they run things now.
yeah.
They're in charge. And it's frightening to me because you see every social contract, everything that we had, everything that was considered normal. They are not shy about wanting to destroy it all.
Yeah.
We can't function this way. Humanity was not meant to function this way. And it enrages me. It does.
Well, I think we'll leave it here with me saying that. Oh, we got a crying baby. We're sitting here in Brooklyn.
The County of Kings.
The County of Kings. We're sitting here in Brooklyn. We're having a good meal, and we're just talking.
Mm-hmm.
And I think nuance and dialogue is being lost. But I ultimately think, like, all the squabbles online and stuff like that, like you said, a lot of it's done by antisocial people. But I think they're the minority.
They are.
I know they're the minority. As someone who's worked a ton of jobs and been all over the place,
Same.
I think we shouldn't lose sight that most of us, for the most part, agree on most things, and that we have more in common than we do different. So, we're talking about some of the rarity, and we rightfully should talk about them because a lot of them have a lot of power. But I think there's a effort to have us divided.
There is.
And the last thing also, you're talking about your political switching, or just like, movement politically. I think the lesson that I learned is not that the left is flawed and bad, is that everybody's flawed and bad.
We all are, yeah, exactly.
It's not that the mainstream media lies all the time. It's that most of the media lies all the time. That's the lesson that I learned. And
Yeah.
it would be very easy to switch from the left to the right and just say, oh, they're bad now, this is good. It's to remain critical by everybody because human beings are flawed and we should point those things out, especially if you do have a side, like you said, you're still a registered Democrat. So you have a side that you want to get better. And I won't crap on you wanting to stay so you can be someone who is a representation of the party that you want. And I think that there is something admirable about doing that and wanting to try to stick it out. Now, if one day you said, F it, it's not working, then so be it. But I don't think there's anything wrong with you wanting to stay as a registered Democrat.
I'm trying, but I'm going to tell you, like, the one thing that would make me a lot more comfortable, and in fact, this is where I'm going to leave it. Yesterday, I watched a clip of Democratic Congresspeople saying flat out, it was saying that no rights which are given to the people are absolute. That right there was when I knew that they're off. They're done. They're done. They are done, because anybody. This is how you know that we have people in power right now on both parties, but since Democrats have all of the social power and I would say 90% of the political power, that was when I knew that these people are totalitarian, have fully embraced totalitarianism. When these people who hold power say no rights are absolute, and so, which is why they don't believe in free speech. They really want to end free speech in America and around the world. They want to centralize power globally, and they want to dole out rights. They want to be the ones to issue rights to people. Okay, but the difference is the Constitution, the United States Constitution, which none of these people have read. None of these people have read. They've sworn on the Bible, and they've said that they swore to uphold to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States. They might have done that, but that was a formality to these people. They've never read the Constitution. They don't understand that the Constitution says we are endowed by our Creator inalienable rights. In other words, that document takes the deity off of humanity. It takes the deity, it de-deifies man. It takes away, it grounds humanity in what we are, flawed creatures, who, if given absolute power, we would wreck everything. And that's and Marx and Hegel and all the rest of these totalitarians and everything else, they have forgotten that. And that's what makes me angry. We are walking around we are led by people who want to rule as gods. That is why these people are doing some of the most demonic shit I've ever seen in my life. In Canada right now, since about 2016, you know about that whole MAID thing that they have, right? Like assisted suicide?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know how many people have used MAID services to kill themselves since about 2016?
Not the number, no.
36,000.
It's a lot.
36,000 people have offed themselves by way of the government. Because, Canada is basically the UK, but they drive on the right side of the street, and they have mostly American accents, right? But the fact is, 36,000 people since 2016 have offed themselves in Canada. The fact that the government gave people an out, and they're saying you can die with dignity. These are the same people who say, we'll allow you to die with dignity, but against the death penalty. Figure that the fuck out.
Yeah.
We are dealing with people who think they're gods. They are gods unto themselves, as Scripture says. And I'm not a Christian. I know who the Lord is, and He's been protecting my life for many years now. I know who He is, and I thank Him every day. But I'm telling you, when that congresswoman said that no rights are absolute, when we are endowed by our Creator inalienable rights, that tells me who the real enemy is in this country. And we got to fight on our hands, and we've got to get these people. These people are evil. And it would have been evil, and just because they're Democrat or Republican, that doesn't fucking matter. It would have been evil if it was a Republican. It would have been just as evil if a Republican said that as it is when a Democrat says it. We are endowed by our Creator inalienable rights.
Right.
And all I've asked is that we return to the Constitution. Return to the principles of this nation. These motherfuckers are out here calling the Constitution, calling America was founded on slavery, and we were the white supremacy was this, but they've never read the Constitution. They know so little about the founding history of this country that they had to pay some anime-haired half. They had to pay some anime-haired half-breed to invent a whole fiction, a whole new history. 1619 Project. Our story started in 1781 after the Battle of Yorktown. But these people are like, oh, well, actually, we started in 1619, and it's just this grand narrative of slavery and everything else. It is basically an anti-capitalist screed. It's full of lies because communists lie. It's full of all of these things that that make no sense. Contradictions about why the Civil War and the Revolutionary War, all of the wars that shaped this, that helped to win our freedom in this country. They had to invent a whole fiction about it.
Yeah.
How demonic is that? But anyways, it's upsetting. It really is. People don't even know how to pass a fucking bill in Congress. They don't know. They don't know how, they don't know. They don't understand the democratic process. But yet they're always the same ones talking about, we must save our democracy by ending Trump. Like, you don't know what democracy is. Every time you say our democracy, you mean our hegemony. Make sure you get that. Make sure you keep that. Like, I am fully convinced that these people want total, absolute power, and they will hurt anybody, and I would even say kill people to get what they want. Oh shit, I have my hand over the mic. But it's upsetting.
No, I get you.
This has been incredible.
Yeah.
This has been an incredible experience. And I'm glad to have done this with you.
Likewise, man.
And this will not be the last time. This we might have to. If I ever start a podcast, because I know people are like, "Oh, you should start a podcast." Okay, I'm considering it. I'm definitely gonna have you on it. You've been an honorable man. I've admired your story this whole time, and I'm glad we did this.
Me too.
Glad we did this. All right, man.
Thank you so much.
All right, let's do this.
You want to clap it out?
Oh my God, you're gonna let me?
Yeah.